Alright guys, as we're nearing the end of the 2021 NFL season, it's now time for my week 15 picks. As last week, I went 10-6, wish I could have done better, but compared to the last several weeks, as you can see, it's better than most. It's the second best record I've had in like 7 weeks. And of course, here is the playoff stands and the regular season stands at the season end of the day. In the AFC, it's the Chiefs with the bye, with Bills at Patriots, Chargers at Titans, and Colts at Bengals. And in the NFC, it's the Packers with the bye, with Saints at Cowboys, 49ers at Buccaneers, and Rams at Cardinals. I have not looked up the matchups because I've been so busy with stuff. And of course, remember, the games recently ended on Tuesday, so I didn't have enough take a look at the playoff bracket. So I had no idea what my Super Bowl pick would be. Alright, so let's get to my week 16 picks, as we start off with a big one on Thursday night, as the 49ers are at the Titans for the first time since 2013. The 49ers won the last two. The Titans haven't beaten them since 2009, and the 49ers haven't won in Nashville since 2005, as the 49ers try to get their first win in season since 2019. So, the Titans, if they win and the Colts lose, they can clinch the NFC South for the second year in a row. But, depending on how many certain teams lose, and they still could possibly get into the playoffs and get a playoff spot. There's literally like 62 playoff formulas that could get them in. So that's insane. Anyways, the 49ers, oh my god, I already forgot who they played. Oh, that's right, they crushed the Falcons last week. Very impressive performance, as they're putting themselves pretty much in position to make a playoff spot at least, as they're looking really good. Meanwhile, the Titans lost a defensive battle to the Steelers. They've gone 1-3 the last 4 weeks. Not looking good for them, as they got to worry about the Colts coming up now, who can easily challenge them for that division title, let alone a playoff spot. Not looking good for them right now, as this might be a defensive slugfest. But you know what? With all the momentum on their side, I'm picking the 49ers for this one. They've gone, 5-1 after they start off 3-5. The Titans are 1-3, and of course, no Derrick Henry. And the whole entire offense is sluggish and terrible, so I'm picking the 49ers to get this. Then, we get to our Thursday night games on Christmas Day. Starting off with the Browns at the Packers for the first time since 2013. The Packers won the last 3. The Browns haven't beaten them since 2005. As the Packers already clinched the division. They can't clinch home field advantage yet. The Browns are just trying to stay in the playoff contention. So, the Browns lost a defensive struggle to the Raiders, and I didn't even know they had massive players out with COVID, but I still would have picked them regardless because the Raiders were struggling. But that was a tough loss for them. They really need that victory. But hey, as you've seen all year, win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. That's how it's been since they were 3-3. Just staying around 500, and nothing really going right for them. Meanwhile, the Packers just held on to beat the Ravens. Only won it because the Ravens got a little too aggressive, although they're still not as good as I think as last year's team. Their offense is playing a little bit better. Their defense is taking a little bit of a step back, but I'm sure it's because they had to play the Ravens, who put up 30 points on them. This one, it should be pretty obvious. I'm picking the Packers for this. Don't even think the Browns are going to keep that win-lose streak going. And then a big one, too, in the AFC, our conference, too, for Christmas, for Saturday night. As the Colts are at the Cardinals for the first time since 2013. The Cardinals won the last 2. The Colts haven't beaten them since 2009. Colts are trying to get their second straight win season. And the Cardinals, if they win, or a couple, the 7 lost teams lose, they will clinch a playoff spot for the first time since 2015 and end the second longest drought in the league. And no, I don't think they can clinch the division yet. But anyways, the Colts beat the Patriots. They won 2 in a row, trying to get their first second win in season in a row, as they're playing pretty damn good. Their offense is really turning up a notch, although their passing offense is a lot more to be desired. Their defense is turning around now. Now they're starting to play like a balanced team. Meanwhile, the Cardinals, you lost 2 in a row, and now you just lost to the worst team in the league record-wise, the Lions. And not only did you lose to them, you got destroyed by them. Yeah, so far this year, remember the MV talks about Kyler Murray? There's many games where he shot the bed hard. Remember Packers, the Rams 2 weeks ago, and now the Lions? He's had a lot of really bad games mixed in. There's something wrong with the Cardinals right now. Even though statistically, I think they're the best team in the NFC if you look at their, stats. Like, that's like Bills good, basically. How the Bills, I think, are best in the AFC. But there's just something wrong with them right now. And unfortunately, the schedule is going to be very tough, hosting the Colts, then at the Cowboys, then hosting the Seahawks. Shit, you can easily see them go down to 6 losses, possibly. It is not looking good for them. And that is why I am picking the Colts for this one after they beat the Patriots convincingly last week. Patriots are just as good as the Cardinals. And if they can do that to the Patriots, I don't see how they can't do it to the Cardinals, especially when they have a not really good rushing defense either. Alright, then we get to the Sunday games, as we start off with the Giants at the Eagles, as the Giants won the last 2. The Eagles haven't beaten them since 2020, and the Giants haven't won in Philadelphia since 2013. And the Giants, if they lose, or a bunch of the 7-win teams win, they will be eliminated from the playoffs, as the Eagles are trying to get above 500 for the first time since, week 1, when they beat the Falcons, as the Giants got crushed by the Cowboys. No surprise there. The Eagles held on to beat the football team. Very unconvincing victory, as their stats are looking pretty good too, other than their passing offense. I'm picking the Eagles for this one. There's not really much to say. Then a big one on the NFC side is the Rams are at the Vikings for the first time since 2015. As the Rams won the last one, the Vikings haven't beaten them since... Vikings, haven't beaten them since 2015. And the Rams haven't won in Minneapolis since 2006. And the Rams, if they win, not only will they have a better record than last year, but if they win, or if some of the 7-win teams like the Vikings lose, they will clinch a playoff spot for a second year in a row. A win would guarantee that. So, the Rams beat the Seahawks last week, as now, remember the last few weeks, not even with that 3-game losing streak, remember earlier in the year when their stats were not really looking really good? Now, other than the Russian offense, their offense is looking very elite, and their defense, after having problems earlier in the year, now all of a sudden they're turning around. Now they're starting to look like a scary team in that conference. Meanwhile, the Vikings won 2 in a row as they beat the Bears, as they're now at 500, as they're just like hanging in there, wishing they'd won all those close games they had earlier in the year so they could be 14-0. This could be an offensive shootout possibly, but of course the Rams are on a roll. Their defense is better. The Vikings, of course, remember when they get to 500, they always gotta lose throughout the year, so I'm gonna pick the Rams for this one. Then a big one in the AFC East, as the Bills are at the Patriots. Patriots won the last one. The Bills haven't beaten them since 2020, but the Patriots haven't won at home since 2019 against them, as the Bills try to get their 3rd straight winning season. For the Patriots, if they beat the Bills and then the Dolphins lose on Monday night, the Patriots will clinch a playoff spot in the NFC East for the first time since 2019, so a lot is on the line, as the Bills crushed the Panthers with no effort, and the Patriots got ran over hard by the Colts. As I said in my last week's pick, the Colts need to run the ball and the Patriots have a chance. Well, they did, as it really put a dent on their terrible rush defense, went from 19th to 24th. A very bad blind spot for them. So Bills, you know what you gotta do. The Patriots did to you 2 weeks ago, or a few weeks ago, whatever it was, and you saw the Colts do it to them just recently. You need to do the exact same thing back to them. Run it down their throats when you have the opportunity. But unfortunately, I'm going to pick the Patriots for this one still. At home. Bills have been inconsistent. They've already beaten them early in the year. But hey, maybe the Bills will get the revenge. We'll see. Then it's the Buccaneers at the Panthers. As the Buccaneers won the last 2. The Panthers haven't beaten them since 2019. And they haven't won at home since 2018. And the Buccaneers, not only will they have a better record than last year, if they win, or the Saints lose, they will clinch a playoff spot for a second year in a row, and the NFC South since 2007. As they got shut out by the Saints last week, as the Buccaneers, even with Brady, they can't beat the Saints in the divisional round. Not divisional round, the regular season. They're 0-4 with him in the regular season. That is just insane. And of course, now they have all of their offensive playmakers injured or some sort of unavailability, so that's gonna hurt them. But of course they gotta play a very good Panthers defense, but they got crushed by the Bills last week, and they've now lost 4 in a row now or something like that they've lost. That reminds me too, if they lose, or if the Vikings and other teams that have 7 wins win, they will be eliminated from the playoffs for the 4th year in a row. So this is like do or die for the Panthers. But despite all the problems for the Buccaneers, I'm still going to pick them for this one. Alright, then we get to an interesting matchup, even though it's like some of the worst teams in the league, as the Jaguars are at the Jets for the first time since 2017, I mean. The Jaguars won the last two. The Jets haven't beaten them since 2017, and the Jaguars haven't won in East Rutherford since 2009. So, of course, both teams are eliminated, but this match would be interesting, as we'll get our first match between Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson. That's like the only benefit of this one. Would be very interesting to see how that does, since both of them have been playing very terrible this year. Oh boy. This one is kind of tough to pick, but I know for the fact the Jaguars have been struggling like shit the last several weeks. Hell, their offense is even worse than the Jets now. And remember, the Jets had a terrible offense to start the year, remember. They had a really good defense, and that's flipped. Like, both teams have flipped based upon their stats early in the year. But I'm probably going to pick the Jets, as the Jaguars are just really a dumpster fire right now. The Jets have some sort of momentum right now on their side. Plus at home. Alright, then it's the Lions at the Falcons for the second year in a row, as the Lions won the last one, remember. The Falcons haven't beaten them since 2017, and they haven't won at home since 2008. So the Lions convincingly destroyed the Cardinals last week. That was a huge victory for them. Showing that the Lions, even though they don't have the worst record in the league right now, that's the Jaguars, and also, that's incorrect, let me fix that. No idea how to fix that. The Jaguars have the worst record in the league. The Lions have the second worst, but they are not a 2-11 team. They're much better than that, as they dominated the Falcons. The Cardinals. The Falcons, meanwhile, they got crushed by the 49ers, and the Falcons, if they lose and a couple 7-win teams win, they will be eliminated from the playoffs for the 4th year in a row. So this is pretty important for both teams, as they really need this win. And honestly, though, it's kind of difficult to pick. But after that crushing victory on the Cardinals, and I just trust them more than the Falcons, I think I'm going to pick the Lions for this one to get their win again after they did last year. Alright. Keep having to clear my throat. So anyways, next up is the Chargers at the Texans for the first time since 2016, as the Texans won the last one. The Chargers haven't beaten them since 2016. And the Texans have never won at home against the Chargers in a 19-year history. Hoping to fix that. And the Chargers are trying to get their first winning season since 2018. So the Chargers lost a tough-fought game against the Chiefs. There's nothing really to say about that. They had a good game. They just couldn't stop the Chiefs when it needed to the most. Meanwhile, the Texans spanked the Jaguars. They swept them, although they still are a terrible team. If anything, they might be even worse than the Jaguars if you look at their stats. Especially they have the worst offense in the league. But that defense is eyeballing to get crushed, so I'm picking the Chargers for this one. Then we get a big one in the AFC East, the AFC North, as the Ravens are at the Bengals. The Bengals won the last one. The Ravens haven't beaten them since 2020, and the Bengals haven't won at home since 2018, the first Thursday night game that year. So the Ravens are trying to get their 6th straight winning season. The Bengals are trying to get their first winning season since 2015. So the Ravens have now lost 3 in a row, as they tried to beat the Packers, and they went for a 2-point conversion again, and it failed again. I really can't blame them for trying, but optically it's looking kind of bad, because if it's true, they could have just gone for the field goal and tried overtime, and maybe they'd be 10-4 right now. But they're 8-6. They've lost 3 in a row. Worst record than last year, as they're not even in the playoff race right now. They really badly need this win. Meanwhile, the Bengals held on to beat the Broncos, as they're in a good position now to beat the Ravens, lead the division, and have a tiebreaker against them. That would be very, very huge, because then the only thing they'd really have to worry about would be the Browns left. And then depending on what happens with the Browns, they could possibly get close to clinching the division, a playoff spot. But nothing's set yet. And you know what? After the Bengals beat the Ravens convincingly several weeks ago, and the Ravens are struggling, I'm going to actually pick the Bengals in an upset to get this one, possibly. Then, it's the Bears at the Seahawks for the first time since 2015, as the Bears won the last one. The Seahawks haven't beaten them since 2015, and the Bears have not won in Seattle since 2009. So, and the Seahawks, if they lose, or a couple 7-win teams win, they will be eliminated from the playoffs for the first time since 2017. So, the Bears, lost to the Vikings in an ugly game. No one's surprised about that. The Seahawks lost to the Rams as they had their first losing season in a decade, as nothing is going right for them either, but I'm going to pick the Seahawks for this one. The Bears are so trash, you shouldn't have no trouble winning this one. Then we get to a big one, the AFC playoffs, as the Steelers are at the Chiefs for the first time since 2017. The Chiefs won the last one. The Steelers haven't beaten them since 2017, and the Chiefs haven't won at home against them since 2015. As the Steelers are trying to keep having a non-losing season, which they haven't had a losing season since 2003. Remember, if they win here, they'll guarantee them at least 8-1. The only way you can go 500. And the Chiefs, if they win, they will clinch a playoff spot for the first time since 2000. I mean, they'll clinch a playoff spot for the 7th year in a row, I think. But I don't think. Well, actually, yeah, if they win and the Chargers lose, they will clinch the AFC West for the 6th year in a row. So yeah, division and playoff spot is on the line right now. And then, now it's 5-2, if they win and the Patriots, Titans, and Chargers all lose, they clinch home field advantage for a 2nd year in a row. So everything is going to be wrapped up in the AFC pretty much right there with 2 weeks left. That's insane. Alright, that's a lot to just remember. Holy crap. So anyways, the Steelers beat the Titans in a defensive struggle. No one's surprised about that. And the Chiefs held on to beat the Chargers again. No one was really surprised about that one. I'm going to pick the Chiefs. Chiefs for this one, as the Steelers just have nothing really to convince me otherwise. Then a big one, the AFC West, is the Broncos are at the Raiders. The Raiders won the last 3. The Broncos haven't beaten them since 2019. And they haven't won at the Raiders since 2015. So, the Broncos, remember they lost to the Bengals last week, as that was just unfortunate, especially when Bridgewater went out, and who knows if he's going to play, so not looking good for the Broncos. Meanwhile, the Raiders got that huge victory against the Browns they needed to stay alive in the playoff race to try and match their win total from last year, as it is tough to pick for this one, but since the Raiders have the momentum, recently winning 3 in a row, plus they don't have the quarterback problem that the Broncos have right now, I'm probably going to pick the Raiders for this one to get the sweep. Then, we get to Sunday night, as it's the football team at the Cowboys. The Cowboys won the last one. The football team hasn't beaten them since 2020, and the Cowboys haven't beaten them at home since 2019. So the football team's trying to avoid their 5th straight losing season. And then if they lose, and if a couple teams with 7 wins win, I think they can be eliminated from the playoffs for the first time since 2019. And the Cowboys, if they win or the Eagles lose, they will clinch a playoff spot in the NFC East for the first time since 2018. So they don't even really need to win this game. It still could possibly be decided. So, of course, remember the football team, they got spanked by the Eagles last week because they've now lost 2 in a row. Meanwhile, the Cowboys convincingly beat the Giants like whoop-de-doo. Nothing to say about that. So I'm going to pick the Cowboys for this one, as we paste. And then we get to a big one on Monday night, as it's huge for the wild card spots, at least right now, as the Dolphins are at the Saints for the first time since 2013, back-to-back Monday night games when they visit the Saints. So, the Saints won the last 3, the Dolphins haven't beaten them since 2005, as the Dolphins, if they lose, and like I said, if they lose and the Patriots beat the Bills, the Patriots will clinch the AFC East, so that's very important for them. I don't think they're going to get eliminated if they lose, but I'm not sure yet. It's going to be close. Meanwhile, the Saints, if they lose or the Buccaneers win, the Buccaneers clinch the division, so that's important for them if the Saints lose, just in case. As the Dolphins have now won 7 in a row, got back to 500 as they still are within playoff spot right now. The wild card is still right there. They're only a game back. So anything can happen. They can still clinch the division too, remember. Meanwhile, the Saints also can still clinch the division, especially after they destroyed the Buccaneers last week. Shut out right there, 9-0, as they recovered 2 in a row. Now they're back at 500. So this is a big one for them. And the Saints, of course, don't have Taysom Hill or Trevor Siemian. Now they're going through quarterback number 4 now this week. I think it was a rookie when I heard Ian Rappaport tweet out earlier before I did my picks. I don't think it's going to matter, though. The Saints still are a better team, so I'm going to pick the Saints for this one, and then the Dolphins win streak. All right, so those are my picks for Week 16. I cannot wait for 49ers at Titans tonight. So my picks are 49ers over the Titans, Packers over the Browns, Colts over the Cardinals, Eagles over the Giants, Rams over the Vikings, Patriots over Bills, Buccaneers over Panthers, Jets over Jaguars, Lions over Falcons, Chargers over Texans, Bengals over Ravens, Seahawks over Bears, Chiefs over Steelers, Raiders over Broncos, Cowboys over the football team, and Saints over the Dolphins. So, see you guys next time. I think, as I'm going to have to take a look at the schedule right here, because I don't think there's a Thursday night. Oh my god, I hate when I type in NFL.com, but doesn't go there. Because I think there's no Thursday night game next week. So, should have known about this beforehand, but I'm an idiot. Alright, so let's see. Yeah, there's no so there's all Sunday games. So my Week 17 picks will be on Saturday, New Year's Day. So, see you guys in 2022 for my next week's picks. So, see you guys then.